It's not hard to tell the NHL regular season just came to an end, as the NHL coaching carousel is in full swing, with two teams making coaching changes on the day after the regular season came to an end. The Florida Panthers have relieved Bob Boughner, the Buffalo Sabres have relieved Phil Housley, and the Florida Panthers have already made their announcement on who their next coach will be. They're bringing in the big gun, Joel Quenneville, to try to take this team to a new level. We'll get into all the latest coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Before we jump into today's video as well, I just want to take a quick second and say thank you very much for 5,000 subscribers. It's been a great ride so far on this YouTube channel. I've been very pleased with the growth, and I couldn't have done this without all of your support. So I just want to take a quick second and acknowledge that and just say thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to continued growth here on the channel. So let's get started here with the big news of the day. The Florida Panthers relieved head coach Bob Boughner and have brought in Joel Quenneville, arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time, and certainly one of the, if not the most successful coach here in more recent history over the last 20-25 years. Joel Quenneville has had nothing but success, and is certainly going to be a huge add here for the Panthers to try to move this team forward. Unfortunately, the Panthers fell short of the playoffs here. Yet again, another disappointing season after many people, including myself, who had them pegged for taking some steps forward this year and getting back into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But unfortunately, things never materialized there. And you know, you can't really blame Bob Boughner for everything. But if they had an opportunity to make a major upgrade like Joel Quenneville, then it definitely was a wise move, and a move they definitely had to make here. Now, obviously, there's a strong connection between Joel Quenneville and current general manager Dale Talon. Dale Talon obviously was the GM in Chicago prior to his post in Florida, and he's the one who hired Joel Quenneville for that post, and they did have a fair bit of success together. Obviously, Quenneville stayed with the Hawks much longer, with Dale Talon moving on to his post in Florida a few years after making that hire. But obviously, Joel Quenneville and Dale Talon do have their name on the Stanley Cup together, etched right next to each other in Chicago. So there's obviously a lot of familiarity there and a lot of success from the past. So they're going to try to reformulate that for the future here with the Florida Panthers. It's being reported the contract given by the Panthers to Joel Quenneville is over $30 million in a 5-year term, so they're certainly paying the big bucks to bring in the big guns here. As we've been reporting for some time, the Florida Panthers were expected to spend a lot of money this offseason to really help take this team to a new level, make them much more competitive, and really get back to the playoffs and beyond here. And this is just the first step. Obviously, the ownership in Florida, led by Vinny Viola, is certainly following through on that commitment. Obviously, Quenneville is an expensive coach, but like I said, he comes with a strong pedigree, a lot of experience, and hopefully this will work out for them here in the long haul. I mean, the Florida Panthers have been around for 25 seasons now, and Joel Quenneville will be coach number 16. It's been a long time since anybody's really stuck in that head coaching role with the Panthers for an extended period of time. Let's take a quick look here at the long history and accomplishments of Joel Quenneville. Take a look at his coaching stats here throughout his career. As you can see, he's coached in over 1,636 games. He has 890 wins to his belt with a winning percentage of .547, which is very impressive. He's been a coach in the playoffs on 18 different occasions, including 3 Stanley Cups, all with the Chicago Blackhawks. Obviously, he also coached a few other teams and had a fair bit of success, but nothing like what happened there in Chicago. That was taken to a whole new level. Of course, this is only going to likely fuel more speculation here on what's going to happen with some pending free agents like Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky. There was already a lot of chatter that Panarin wanted to go to Florida. Of course, hooking up now with his old head coach, Joel Quenneville, might make that even more enticing. Obviously, Joel Quenneville was really excited about going to Florida. He made it known in the press conference today that there was, something that he was really looking forward to, and all sights were basically set on Florida here, and talks have been ongoing for the last little bit here. Obviously, reuniting with Dale Talon, a man he's very familiar with. And he's also very excited to work with that roster of a lot of young, strong players, and there's more coming as well for Florida. And if they can add like Panarin and Bobrovsky in the offseason, it's certainly going to take things, like I said, to a whole new level. Obviously, having that commitment from ownership to be able to spend to the cap, and also having a coach like him commanding that kind of money and showing right off the get-go here in the offseason that they're serious about this is only going to help land those free agents that they apparently covet very much and are trying to bring in here as we approach July 1. So stay tuned. This is not going to be the final move for the Florida Panthers. This is only the beginning. Now, of course, the other big news of the day in the coaching carousel was the Buffalo Sabres relieving head coach Phil Housley of his duties after 2 seasons. Now, like the Florida Panthers, the Buffalo Sabres have had a really hard time having a consistent coach for an extended period of time. Really, ever since they let go of Lindy Ruff, who was there for an extended period of time. Lindy Ruff was the coach of the Sabres, I believe it was 15 or 16 years, and ever since then, this will be like 4 coaches in 6 years. Nobody's lasted more than 2 years, so they really need to get this one right as well. And all indications are pointing that the Buffalo Sabres are looking at bringing in a veteran coach, and the couple of names that are out there right now is Alain Vigneault, who's been rumored to be in talks with Buffalo, as well as former bench boss of the Edmonton Oilers and San Jose Sharks, Todd McLellan. Obviously, McLellan right now apparently is talking to the Sabres and the LA Kings, so I guess we'll see what happens there, but it looks as though the Sabres are pretty content to go with a veteran bench boss to help move this team forward. Obviously, Buffalo got off to a terrific start. They had that big winning streak early in the year. In the second half of the year, the things just kind of really bottomed out here, and just really this team showed its true colors, which unfortunately weren't good. They ended up in the draft lottery and near the bottom of their division here yet again. So obviously things need to get turned around. They've been rebuilding, it seems like, forever in the Buffalo Sabres organization. And it also has to hurt a little bit to see former Sabres like Ryan O'Reilly, who they traded and didn't get a great return on, have so much success with St. Louis. He's a major reason why that team is where they are today. Of course, you can say a lot about young goaltender Jordan Binnington, but Ryan O'Reilly, for the most part, was one of their most consistent top players for the entire year. It was absolutely huge for them. And of course, Robin Lehner going over to the New York Islanders, had some terrific stats as well, and he's a big reason why the Islanders are in the playoffs. So it's got to sting a little bit for Sabres, not only their organization but their fans as well. I'm sure sometimes you like to see these players have success, but it'd be so much nicer to have them have that success in Buffalo instead of elsewhere. So unfortunately, those are a couple of key moves there between letting Robert Lehner go to free agency, and the trade for O'Reilly really hasn't worked out on the Buffalo side of things, in my opinion, as well. So unfortunate there, but Phil Housley is gone after 2 years. Again, you could probably make a case here that it's really not all his fault, but something had to be done, and obviously Botterill didn't really believe in his vision here moving forward. The other unfortunate thing as well is Phil Housley was interviewed within about 24 hours of being let go and said he was pretty confident he'd be back next year. So obviously that's not the case as well. I do think Phil Housley is a good coach. I can see him landing back as an assistant coach. He was an assistant coach for a long time, had a lot of success in those roles before landing the head coaching gig here with the Buffalo Sabres. So I can see him getting scooped up by an NHL club fairly quick, getting back to that role and having success like he did before, because I do think he has a lot of value to offer to an NHL club here. So we also had some other news here when it comes to NHL executives and coaches in the past day or so as well. The Detroit Red Wings did announce that they've extended coach Jeff Blashill for a couple more seasons as well. So the Detroit Red Wings will not be making any changes there. They're content to stick with Blashill through this rebuild. And of course, the Devils also announced today that GM Ray Shero has been extended, so he'll be staying in his post for an extended period of time there as well. Now let's take a look at the remaining vacancies for head coaching positions currently in the NHL. Also with the Florida Panthers not wasting any time to hire their new man, Joel Quenneville. That still leaves a bunch of teams looking for a head coach here. Obviously starting with the LA Kings, they did announce that interim head coach Desjardins would not be back, so he is done with the Kings, and they're certainly, like I said, starting their head coaching search, and they had talks with Todd McLellan, so it is rumored he is high up on their list, and they're probably in the process of negotiating a contract. He might end up with that position, but then again, he may not, as it seems as though he's also talking to the Sabres here. So I guess time will tell, but the Kings are looking for a head coach. Obviously, you can add the Anaheim Ducks to that list. Obviously, Bob Murray was the interim coach going behind the bench, as well as to his GM duties as well. It's pretty much a safe assumption, I think, though, that their AHL bench boss, Dallas Eakins, will become the next head coach of that team. It's just a matter of making it a formality once their AHL team season comes to a close. Obviously, you've got the Ottawa Senators, who fired Guy Boucher earlier, and Mark Crawford's been working there as the interim coach. Not quite clear exactly if he stands a good chance or not to be back as head coach with Ottawa. Certainly is a possibility. I know he's going to be a candidate. We do know that much. And things did improve some with Crawford at the helm here. But there's so many things going on in Ottawa. It's really hard to say what the direction is. And after they fired Guy Boucher, many of you probably saw that press release from the Senators with their long list of qualities they're looking for in a coach, and it's quite extensive. It was kind of weird, so hard to say if Crawford is their guy or not, but certainly something to keep your eye on. The Edmonton Oilers did announce that they're not sure if Ken Hitchcock will be back as head coach. They did say that he would be in some role with the organization, but they're going to wait until their GM search is complete, and they will be letting the new general manager make that decision. But if it is determined that Ken Hitchcock will not be the head coach, that he will work with the Oilers in some capacity. Obviously, you get the Philadelphia Flyers hired Scott Gordon on an interim basis as well. I would think that the odds are he'll probably remain there, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Obviously, the St. Louis Blues have been on a magical run with Craig Berube behind the bench. He still technically has that interim tag as well, but I do think it's fair to say that it's pretty safe that tag get removed and he become the permanent head coach here once the season comes to an end. I don't think he's in any danger at all. So all kinds of head coaching positions to be had here. Certainly some veteran guys kicking their names around here amongst teams like Todd McLellan, Alain Vigneault, and others. So it should be interesting to see who ends up in all these head coaching positions. And I imagine more often than not here, we're going to see a lot of these positions filled before the NHL draft here in June. Over the next few weeks, some of the teams are going to be having a lot of interviews, and a lot of this should become more clear here in the short term. So that is all your updates on the coaching carousel here for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the Joel Quenneville hire with the Florida Panthers. Do you think he can make that much of a difference? And of course, do you think that's also going to influence what we see in the offseason with all the Artemi Panarin, Sergei Bobrovsky talk about going to Florida as well? And also, too, if you're a fan of one of the teams that are on the coaching vacancy list, who do you think should be the next bench boss of those teams that are looking for head coaches currently right now? If you're new to the channel here, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up before you go. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.